What's going on, everyone? It's Chef, and welcome to episode 1 of the Dark Souls 3 build series. Today we're looking at a super strong battle mage type build I've been playing around with for a while now. I'll list out my exact equipment used in the description if you're curious, but what I'm going to go over now are just the key elements you need to emulate the build. Number 1, the Heysel Pick. It's the primary weapon of the build, serving as both a sorcery catalyst and a melee weapon. Number 2, your sorceries. You'll need Great Farron Dart, Farron Flashsword, and Soul Greatsword. Number 3, rings. Bellowing Dragoncrest, Chloranthy, Sage, and of course, Ring of Favor. If you can get the plus 2 or 3 versions of these rings, all the better, but it's not necessary. I went for soul level 140 with this build, and with a specific playstyle in mind. That playstyle being one that lets you put constant pressure on your opponent, always keeping them guessing and feeling like they're on the defensive. The main thing that makes that sort of constant pressure possible is because of heavy investment into both endurance and attunement. They're both pretty even, and with rather low stamina and FP costs of the spells in this build, it almost always feels like when the opponent needs to recover and let their stamina come back, you can stay on the offense. We're investing in these stats over more vigor, and once you learn the build, I really do think it's worth the sacrifice to be able to essentially stay in the fight longer. It really is all about maintaining pressure with this build. Stamina recovery boost from the Chloranthy Ring gets you back on your feet faster, and the Sage Ring giving your enemy even less time to react to your casts. A whole lot of levels in intelligence, combined with the spell buff from the Heysel Pick and the Bellowing Dragoncrest ring, makes those sorceries feel more than powerful. A lot of people tend to underestimate Great Farron Dart, I found. They start the match passively, treating the darts as a minor annoyance and not even bothering to dodge, and then they realize they've lost a third of their HP. That's when you can put the pressure on with other things in your kit and finish out a match. For this segment, I just want to go over the basics of how to actually play the build and use your tools. One of the main combos I use is Farron Dart into Farron Flashsword. I like to initiate a match by first using the Heysel Pick buff with left trigger and following up with Farron Darts. Farron Dart is great bait because lots of people will roll through it to close the distance, but Farron Flashsword chains so quickly that as soon as you see that roll come out, simply swap to that for the roll catch and go crazy. This is where I think that high endurance and attunement comes in. It's actually pretty nuts to me how long players just stand there and take hits. Soul Greatsword is a super functional combo finisher. Using it after a few flash swords is a great way to take your opponent off guard, and can often get you a roll catch as they try to escape the flash sword spam. Soul Greatsword is effective against parrying tools too. Flash sword can be prone to being parried sometimes, so limiting your swings and chaining into a Greatsword is a nice mix-up and a good way to get people whiffing parries and eating damage. Also, Greatsword has a bit of a hidden use for people who like to hide behind walls. Honestly, kinda useful and always super funny to me when people let this happen. Lastly, of course, we have the light attack of the Heysel Pick. On its own it's not so great, but what it allows you to do is follow up with a guaranteed Soul Greatsword. I generally use this pretty sparingly, but when your opponent starts to only expect sorceries, it can be a pretty good element of surprise. I also like to use it when the aggro pressure strat isn't really working all that well. You can make a conscious switch to playing passive, and try to space attacks and land those true combos. Tying up some loose ends, I would just say don't underestimate the rolling attack of the Flash Sword, and also you can pack Shiv if you want. I basically only ever use it for finishing people that cast tears. I'll be right back, but let's check out some highlights first. Alright, so the first big thing I want to make clear, no, this is most definitely not the #1 strongest PvP build. Grab a straight sword, cast Tears and regen, eat a green blossom, buff your weapon, and bring the heaviest armor you can find that keeps you under 70%. Or I don't know, just use a split leaf. This build is not meant to be super fine-tuned or sweaty, but I can tell you for sure that it's strong, and the versatility that the Heysel Pick brings makes for a dynamic playstyle that never gets boring for me. Let me know your personal favorite builds in the comments. It doesn't have to be something fine-tuned to win matches. Anything fun or creative I'll be happy to read, and maybe even try it out in a future video. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you next time.